their names are going to be linked together for the rest of their NBA careers. For the first time in league history, two players who were coming off all NBA seasons were traded for each other. And the aftershocks from this seismic deal, they've been rolling through the league. 1 week later, Perk, this was the scene outside of the Mavericks arena today. Fans calling for Dallas general manager Nico Harrison to be fired, for ownership to sell the team.
Typical civilians, as Udonis Haslam would say.
Well, I mean, the guy made the finals last year. He makes a small little trade, and they want to fire him. This is why I left being a GM, Malika.
Well, AD, his job to bring some life to a wounded fan base. That's what he said he wanted to do. And if the way his Dallas debut started signaled anything, maybe brighter days are ahead here. Anthony Davis taking the court for the first time in a Mavericks uniform.
Ooh, that big-to-big passing. He said he wanted to play the fourth position.
This was really what I think Nico was looking for when he brought AD in.
Well, that was daddy ball. That's what I do to my sons in the driveway. Still to this day.
Anthony Davis proclaiming, I'm here, pulling up for three. Get to a big that can stretch the floor.
When he's on, he's one of the best 10 players in the league. He really is.
I agree.
He's going.
14 points, 8 rebounds in the first quarter alone for Anthony Davis. And then, let's go ahead here. AD, this is the play, though, that he would get injured on. He would left the game and didn't return. He had 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks in the first half. But in the third quarter, he went down with that lower body injury, and he did not return. Finished with 26 points, 16 rebounds. The Mavs get the win. This monster performance, it put him atop a list of really esteemed name here. He becomes the first player with 25 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in a team debut since Charles Barkley in '92 for the Suns. And, of course, Barkley won MVP that season. Shams Charania is here with us. What more can you tell us here, Shams, about how long Anthony Davis might be out and the severity of this injury here?
Yeah, Malika, Anthony Davis has some soreness in that groin area, but it's not expected to be a serious injury. They'll see tonight, tomorrow, how he feels. I'm told he actually tried to play after exiting the game tonight, but they just decided to be cautious with it. We're about less than a week before the All-Star break, so I do think that Mavericks and Anthony Davis will take a safe approach going into the break.
It was a near-perfect debut up until that point. It's everything that Anthony Davis could have hoped for. He came into this game with some determination. I'm glad to hear that hopefully this isn't serious here for Anthony Davis. I think it's going to take a while, though, Bob, for fans to maybe forgive the front office for trading away Luka Doncic. But what would need to happen for this to be viewed as successful? The bar seems incredibly high.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you want to say championship. That's your knee-jerk. That seems like they're that upset about it. And fans get attached to the star players, as they should, right? I mean, we were all fans of a team growing up. You love the best player on the team. And I think and Shams reported it, the fact that this happened out of nowhere, there's still a shock to it, and there's grieving to it. Anthony Davis was showing them today, Malika, what the good looked like, and then he gets hurt. And so now it's probably going to ramp back up.
And that's the AD experience, right? I think that becomes the worry is, oh, well, this is what we saw from AD. He is a knock for being injured all the time, even though recently he's actually been the healthiest.
I just don't know. I guess to your question, in the short term, there probably is nothing. There's probably nothing that can happen to kind of put a kind of Band-Aid on this thing. I don't know.
No. You don't trade away an international superstar and say, oh, well, I don't know how it could cure some of these people's wounds. I'm going to tell you how it could happen. In the next 3 years, the Dallas Mavericks, they have to win the championship.
In the next 3 years.
In the next 3 years. Because why the next 3 years? You're looking at Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, both, you know, early 30s. So how much of their prime do they have left? But I'm going to say this. The Dallas Maverick fans need to keep a cool booty. Anthony Davis at the power forward position tonight took them to Baskin-Robbins, okay? Because he gave them all flavors. 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, anchoring that defense before he got injured, the big-to-big passing. And now he's back to his natural position. What he want to play? The power forward.
Yeah, okay, but he's still better at the 5, but that's fine.
Go ahead, Shams, last word on that.
I will say it's interesting. Luka Doncic still seems he's shocked, like he's still in some level of shock. Anthony Davis on the other side, I think there's some motivation there, a chip on his shoulder. I saw him the other night in Boston. His body language, he's smiling, he's laughing. Obviously, tonight, tough injury, but he looks like he's trying to prove a point. Luka Doncic, he needs to get back on the court, get a rhythm routine again.
When's
Hopefully
he coming
that starts
back,
Monday.
Shams?
Hopefully, the target is Monday. It's supposed to be today. will be Monday.
And Bob, guys want to play with Kyrie. You know all about that. That's why KD left.
Okay, all right. That's
tomorrow is a big tonight on ABC, my friend.
Well, I think it's the Knicks, personally. I mean, when you look at how they're presently constructed, it's a little bit different than what we're accustomed to seeing from a Tom Thibodeau team. Offense has been the signature for the New York Knicks this year. They put up points in bunches. We understand that. Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, the first duo starters for the New York Knicks to be all-stars since Earl of Pearl Monroe and Walt Clyde Frazier. It's a different day in New York City. I understand that. But still in all, we know who the reigning defending NBA champions are. They're the Boston Celtics. They hurt you with threes. They can defend when necessary. They've got not one but two stars. They've got a guy in Porzingis who can score, along with contribution from their bench. With the New York Knicks, again, we love what we're seeing from Cat, who, by the way, is shaky for tonight. We know what Jalen Brunson has been doing. If you're the New York Knicks tonight at Madison Square Garden, you want to beat the reigning defending NBA champions, because that's likely who you may run into come postseason time. You want to send a message to them that you can beat them, and tonight would be a good way to start doing just that.
Yeah,
especially since I'm here.
Absolutely. And to your point, Stephen A., Karl Anthony Towns, he did come into this one questionable, but these two teams, they're led by their all-NBA superstars in Jalen Brunson and Jason Tatum. These two guys, they're offensive engines, but in a little bit of different ways here. Kendrick Perkins, I'd like to start with Jason Tatum. What has impressed you so far from him?
Well, look, we know that Jason Tatum is one of the most prolific scorers in the game today. He could get a bucket getting out of bed, okay? But the growth, I'm watching this young man grow in areas. Not only is he able to get his, but he's making others around him better. The 5.7 assists a game. And look, he's second in the league assisted three-point shots. Here it is right now, using the screen and roll. The guy slips out of it. Now he got the isolation. We know that defensive teams are going to load up. Who do we find in the corner? His best friend, old man Al Horford, for the knockdown corner three. That is growth. You draw the defense, suck the defense in, you kick it out. Here go again, a slight little pin down. All of a sudden, a sprint up into a screen. Jason Tatum gives him a nasty up, in and out. Defense rotates. Who do we see across the court? This is a LeBron James, Luka type pass. His guy again, old man Al Horford. This is the growth of Jason Tatum.
The Celtics, they take more threes than twos, which I find fascinating. Yep. We know that can win championships. You know more than most, Bob, in this. But at some point, is there a point of you're not getting a return on that?
Well, once in a while, Perkins says some smart stuff. Not all the time. Once in a while. Look, I think what he said about Tatum is interesting, is that he's making other players better, Malika. And that's the mark of a true superstar. I'm not sure you could say that about Tatum 3 years ago, 2 years ago even. But he is now elevated when you talk about the 5.7 assists. So, Malika, does this catch up to the Celtics, this three-point barrage? I don't think so. I mean, these are still good shots. They have good shooters. They have a lot of good shooters. They probably have the best shooting from position, across position. Their center, Porzingis, even Horford, whether you call him a backup center, whatever you want to call him, they have 6 guys that can spread you out. And no other team really has that type of weaponry. And that's why they shoot 53% of their shots from three. Can it catch up to you? Here's where it could. It gives you a big variance. Because if you go cold, you can lose. But over a 7-game series, I don't think that team's going to go cold 3-4 times.
That's what they're betting on. They're betting on, all right, it's not going to happen 4 out of 7 games in a series, and that's what we're going to be able to do. Let's get to the Knicks side of this. Obviously, the head of their snake, Jalen Brunson. How's he getting it done?
Well, actually, it's Big Body Brunson.
Oh,
and I gave him a nickname for a reason, because he's 6'1", 6'2", but he has the heart and he has the physicality of a 7-footer at times, the way that he's played. He's second in the league in points per game with points off the dribble. Right there, big body getting in the inside. Look at him. That old Chauncey Billups little crab dribble back down, comes off the screen, use him, keep him on his hip, the little separation on the step back. Butter. Big body Brunson has taken this game to another level. Yes, he's averaging 26 points a game, but he's also having a career high in assists. And the reason being is the main reason why I have this Knicks team as a legit threat of winning the NBA title is because of Big Body Brunson. What's wrong?
Nothing. I just didn't know his nickname was Big Body Brunson.
Yeah.
You know that?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, do other people?
Yeah, it's catching on in New York.
It's all over New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this guy. I mean, how do you not like Brunson? as a player, as a person, most importantly, but his footwork. You saw it on the highlight. He's not a big guy, but he puts you off balance with his footwork. My question is this, and I'm not saying he can't. For a player of his size to get his team all the way to the top of the mountain, if anybody can do it, it might be him. We've seen guys like Isaiah Thomas do it. We've seen guys like Tony Parker. We've seen guys like Steph Curry. But the thing is, you look at these guys, there's a lot of years in between 89 and 90 and 2014 and 2000, whatever it is, those years where Curry did it. But it's hard. It's hard just because it's a big man's game. But these guys can show it can be done. If anybody can do it at this level this year, it is Brunson.
Yeah, but he's not alone, Bob, and that's the reason.
But he's their best player.
He is their best player, but at times we didn't witness others step up and rise to the occasion when it matters the most. Think about this. Even when you look at the Boston Celtics last year, it was some whispers going around that, hey, could Drew Holiday actually steal the finals MVP from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? So sometimes even quote-unquote your 1A don't necessarily have to be your best player in the finals. Hell, you witnessed that with Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, absolutely. It can happen, for sure.
And
that was great.
You always need someone who's going to step up. Andrew Wiggins, even in that title, was sort of right there with Steph Curry. You mentioned Drew Holiday. He is out tonight. But for the Knicks, all of this could also come down to health. Their injury report is already stacking up a little bit even in this game. So for more on that, let's check in with our senior insider here, Shams Charania. Shams, what's the latest out of New York?
Oh, there you go.
Two players that they have sidelined right now that are key contributors potentially. Mitchell Robinson, their starting center, he has been out all season. He had off-season foot surgery. He is expected to start 5-on-5 play here very soon. And I'm told he and the Knicks have a goal of before March 1, potentially his season debut. And then OG Anunoby on the other side, he has been out since last Saturday with a foot injury. I'm told specifically it is a toe issue, and he's targeting a return at some point after the All-Star break. This is the Knicks and Anunoby looking at the calendar, seeing how close we are.
Folks, we got ourselves a mighty big headache in Dallas. The Mavericks took a gamble rushing Anthony Davis back on the court, and now they might be paying the price. See? Davis had himself a stellar debut last Saturday against the Bulls. Drop-in. 26 points, snagging 16 boards, and dishing out 7 assists before disaster struck. Late in the third quarter, he pulled up hurt. And just like that, he was heading straight for the locker room. Now? Ain't no telling when he'll be back. Here's the kicker. This ain't even a fresh injury. Davis tweaked that adductor. Back on January 28th when he was still wearing Lakers colors. Medical experts figured he'd need at least 2 weeks, maybe more, to heal up. But the Mavs, eager to prove they got the better end of the Luka Doncic trade, weren't about to wait around. They threw him out there hoping to silence critics, and now they might have just made things worse. Word is, he could be out for a month, maybe longer, if surgery ends up being necessary. Now, Davis ain't looking to go under the knife, at least not yet. He's hoping he can rehab the old-fashioned way, but it all depends on how his body responds in the coming weeks. One thing's for sure, there ain't gonna be no more rushing this time. That setback was a wake-up call, and Davis ain't about to let it happen again. And let's talk about what this means for the Mavs. They're already fighting tooth and nail just to stay in the playoff race, sitting at 8th in the West, with a 28-25 record. Now, without Luka or AD, they're facing an uphill battle. Every game's gonna count, and the pressure's on for the rest of that roster to step up big time. Ain't just about the team neither. This whole situation's a gut punch for Mavs fans who were expecting a title push. They traded away their franchise star for Davis, betting big on a fresh start. And now, uncertainty's setting in. Is this roster deep enough to weather the storm, or are they looking at another season of disappointment? You tell me. Did the Mavs make the right call pulling the trigger on this trade, or did they gamble away their future?